A big hello to everyone. Friends, Kus here. Today we are reviewing the Moza RSV2 wheel. Here is a massive rally wheel. This is one of the most expensive round wheels from Moza. Accordingly, you could say it's the flagship model. Therefore, the demand for this wheel will be appropriate, and I have a lot to say about it because there are both pros and cons. Let's start with the cons right away, because usually in my reviews I always praise the wheel first and then go over the cons. This time it will be the other way around. But before that, I would like to ask you to give a like and leave some comments from those Moza wheel owners who have tested a feature that I will tell you about soon. So, regarding the cons, first of all, it's the weight. On one hand, when you buy such flagship models, you clearly don't have some weak base, right? Most likely you have the same setup as I do with the Moza R16, Moza R12 and R21. If you have an entry-level base like the Moza R5 or maybe even the R9, because I wouldn't recommend this wheel for the R9, then you probably wouldn't consider this wheel and shouldn't consider it. Why? Because it's heavy, it's very heavy, and it has a fairly large diameter. So the feedback will suffer because of this. At the same time, flagship models, which are expensive, should look stylish, like this wheel, and they should also feel premium. Again, take this Moza wheel as an example, right? It's inexpensive, it looks cool, but when you hold it in your hands, it's light, it's plastic, and you understand what materials it's made of. You understand that it's cheap. Here, it's the opposite. The materials are very impressive. Basically, you can see it all for yourself. There's practically no plastic here. By the way, is there any at all? I think it's just the knobs and plastic buttons. Everything else is made of metal, aluminum, and of course leather. Also, it's kind of, well, you can shake it like this, you know, but I need to apply quite a bit of force for that. So, the wheel practically doesn't deform. I'm putting in a lot of effort, because I've started testing round wheels for rigidity. I don't know, by the way, why, because in races, basically, you have this kind of grip, and you don't jerk it like this, but still, for testing, I think it's worth doing. So, for example, the Fanatec Extreme bent very easily, and its leather wasn't the most pleasant. Here, the leather is quite high quality, and the wheel itself is sturdy. By the way, I'll probably be removing the wheel often. There are these indentations here which are supposed to help with gripping the wheel, but I don't know again where this would be useful in drifting. Maybe I play rally, I play circuit races, ovals, and I don't really need to grab the wheel anywhere except maybe in Euro Truck Simulator 2. Well, I can't say from my personal experience whether these things help or hinder you. One thing I can say for sure is that the materials are good here, except for the seams. Look here, you see these seams that go along. They are generally made quite neatly, but they are positioned right in the center of the wheel, in the middle of it. And you know what's unpleasant? When you place your fingers on these seams here, you can really feel it. Lately, I've become very picky about these things because I used to have a Thrustmaster TGT and never had such problems, even though it had similar seams. Somehow I didn't notice it back then. Now I've become, I don't know, a bit fussy, I guess. So when you place your hands into these openings and with your fingers, you can really feel this seam, and it causes a bit of discomfort. It doesn't chafe me, meaning I play rally games for a long time and nothing here chafes me. I ride without gloves, but it feels unpleasant to the touch, and I really liked how it was done. On the example of the Fanatec DD Extreme, the materials seem to be of lower quality, yes, cheaper. The material there is generally cheap, but the seam is right at the back, slightly shifted backwards so you don't feel the seams as much. The second downside of this wheel, as usual, are these two nipples. There is no four-way funky switch. And that's really inconvenient because very often when you press down, the button to the right or left gets activated, and that's really annoying. This issue is present on all wheels with these two damn nubs. And then Moza released an awesome addition, an update, more precisely, software. I honestly thought it wouldn't work. Like there would still be some issues. No, we are currently in standard mode, so you can look here. Up and down, left and right. Right, up, down, left, right, and look, if I press the button down and slightly to the right, meaning I deviated just 10 centimeters to the right, the button no longer works as down but as right. So you see, these switches are annoying. You set up a pit stop, go down and slightly to the right, and that's it. The right button gets activated, which is incredibly inconvenient. You just can't properly set up a pit stop in a race, or you're afraid to set it up because one slight move to the right messes everything up. Your pit stop number might get messed up, you might mess up the pressure, and there are many other things. And honestly, it's really annoying because these sticks are made for looking around in games like Euro Truck Simulator or other games, but not for navigating menus. Navigating menus with these sticks is inconvenient. Now, look, we go into Moza Pit House and change the mechanic mode to D-pad. We reassign the control upwards. You see, we already have D-pad up, D-pad down, D-pad left, D-pad right assigned. And let's try again. Look, I'll even show you from above. Down. See, I'm moving it right and left, but the values for right and left don't appear. Only the down button works. To get the value to the right, I need to change it by 45 degrees, and there. That's it. Then it activates. So, it works just like a D-pad. And it freaking works! And once again, pay attention here. I want you to notice how serious this is. Right only works when I turn right at a 45-degree angle. Let's change the value again. Button. Up. Down. Left. Right. Now look, I do the same thing down. Just a little. You see, I tilted it. At 5 degrees to the right, my right button is already triggered. Or to the left. So they fixed this problem. And that's really cool. The only thing is, I would like to be able to configure each dial separately. For example, the left one could be a 4-way switch like a D-pad, while the right one could remain as a stick. Currently, it is not possible to separate them. Also here, while we are in Moza Pit House, you can check the settings of this steering wheel. Here, in principle, you can adjust the brightness of the steering wheel itself, right here, and the RPM gauge, how bright it will be. You can set the color here to whatever you want for these RPMs. Whether it will do everything ahead of time or with a delay. But all of this is basically understandable. This is what concerns this thing. Here is the setting. So there is nothing particularly interesting here. The only thing is, damn, I don't understand why you can't set the color for each button right here. But in principle, this is easily done on any Moza steering wheel. You just press these buttons together and your steering wheel lights up like this. Then you can change the color of each button with a single press. Basically, I've already gotten used to it, but it's just unclear why this can't be done through the software. So I guess we started with the downsides. And the only downside is that I don't like these seams. In everything else, well, I think there are only advantages here. Let me explain why. Yes, by the way, I would also like to mention that it would be nice if the flagship steering wheel had these knobs with some kind of backlighting or higher quality. They switch quite well with medium stiffness when turning, and they are very similar to the knobs on the cheaper version of the wheel. But they have a very important feature. You can press them, so they also serve as an additional button. This is convenient because having 2 extra buttons doesn't hurt. Maybe I'm being picky, but I would like to have 2 more knobs here. To adjust things like brake balance, there's a perfect spot for them here, so you could tweak and adjust something right here. It would be great if they add this in future models. Overall, the buttons themselves are not bad. I am pleased that they are labeled so I don't have to stick anything on because, as you noticed, I don't put any stickers on the steering wheel that come in the package. Well, because these stickers keep falling off, you constantly press the button and the sticker slides off, and sooner or later it falls off anyway. I'm not going to talk about style again. I like the appearance, shape, design, all of that. The only thing again is the knobs. And the lighting on these knobs are a bit lacking. It would be great if they had more. And these little nubs, I don't like their quality. They feel very plastic. It's like, you know, an expensive steering wheel. Yeah, I bought it for 1,500 euros once, and here there's a metal shifter that, by the way, started acting up over time. And here you can actually see it. Here, please, you can see these stickers which sooner or later peel off, fall off crookedly, and so on. But here, these little metal knobs are really cool, although you can't press any of them, by the way. This steering wheel is quite old, and such features didn't exist before. And this funky switch made of metal is also very cool. In flagship steering wheels, I would like to see these metal knobs and metal switches because they feel great to the touch and add a sense of luxury to the wheel. I like the leather itself, the buttons are decent, but the 2 knobs and these 2 nipples really stand out. However, it's clear that they are made of some kind of cheap plastic. I would prefer more metal parts. As for the paddles, they are generally not loud. I wouldn't say they are the quietest paddles out there or that they are particularly quiet. They are in general and usually of medium volume. And for some reason, the right paddle Sounds a bit louder than the left one, and even a little different. We also have these kinds of paddles behind the steering wheel. It's a fairly average neutral sound. I like it. Lately I've been preferring a more muted sound, like on the Fanatec DD Extreme, which I recently reviewed. But to be honest, I ride with headphones on, so I don't hear any of these switches at all. And the paddles themselves, well, look at them. They are also made of metal. It's probably aluminum. Well, in general, they are stylish, they are cool, and they also have an adjustment here. You can move them a bit further or closer. So overall, and by the way, speaking of design, again, I like that the steering wheel from the back, it looks very neat and stylish. No wires, nothing. See for yourself. From the front and back, everything looks quite stylish and neat. And the distance is very convenient for me, meaning they are not too far away. But at the same time, it is not positioned too close, because some steering wheels have the problem that the paddles are either too close or too far away. As for the placement of the buttons, there are no issues here either. That is, look, you will be able to reach everything. You don't really need to take your hand off the steering wheel, only if you want to adjust something. That's why I say again, placing these knobs here is very convenient because, first of all, they don't get in the way of your finger. They just fit perfectly here. As for the ease of use, I really enjoy this steering wheel when playing rally games. First of all, it has a diameter of 32 centimeters, which makes it quite substantial. It feels very nice. The only thing is these seams, of course, I don't know, I might try to wrap them with some tape or do something else. Although, well, I've already gotten used to it, but I would like them to be softer, these seams. So they provided me with this steering wheel for review, but I will buy this steering wheel from them and keep it permanently, because before that, DNS offered me, by the way, the Moza R16 and the GGS V2 wheel. Remember, I did a review. I didn't like that steering wheel because the paddles were really unpleasant, super loud, the loudest even with padding. There were a few more points and I decided not to keep that steering wheel. This steering wheel, in general, I liked everything except for these seams. And by the way, I think the guys from Moza are really watching reviews from different bloggers, because now there's already a second version of that wheel. It's something like GS something. Anyway, they added a P suffix, I think. A subscriber wrote to me, and now those paddles are very, very quiet, meaning they have fixed that issue. So, you see, they are watching and improving things. Again, those funky switches that everyone complained about, right? Now, bam, they rolled out an update and that's it. And basically on all steering wheels, they have improved this thing, and now you can adequately use these funky switches in a race and set up pit stops without any problems. In other words, they are doing a great job. They observe, they make various revisions and updates. Some time ago, there was a crack in some of their steering wheels, and they replaced them without any problems. No problem with these wheels under warranty. They have now made reinforced new revisions of these wheels where this issue has been fixed. And C-Magic are also great. They are pretty much like Mazda. Both are awesome. They work exactly like that. So they keep updating everything new, see the problems, and work on these problems. Unlike other major manufacturers like Thrustmaster, Fanatec, and Logitech, Fanatec still can't make a proper handbrake. It's clear that your handbrake is a piece of junk, so why can't you release a new version or something? I don't know, Fanatec doesn't have a good wheel. Okay, I won't get worked up about Fanatec, especially since they fired some main director because, well, it's frustrating. Fanatec really doesn't have a good wheel. This little thing they've been selling for about 5 years now. They just released a new wheel in a different color. Are you kidding me? What's new about it? It's the same, just a different color. Well, make a proper wheel. Well, something like... Alright, never mind. I just have a Fanatec at my summer house. I play on it with PlayStation and Gran Turismo with proper support. And I really lack a good, proper wheel. Yes, I drive with the McLaren and it basically suits me, but I want something, you know, flagship and pleasant. But Fanatec doesn't have that, but I like the BMW one there, which feels like a real wheel, like you could use it in a real BMW. But come on, it costs as much as an airplane wing. So, to sum up, I want to say that I really like the wheel. It's cool and fun, but again, keep in mind, it has a large diameter and is heavy, so it should only be used with bases that have a power of 10 to 12 nanometers or more. Even on the Mazda R9, our Newton meters, I would rather get something simpler, lighter. I should have upgraded the base to something more powerful, so keep that in mind. This is really a wheel for already quite powerful bases. Other than that, the only downsides are this seam and the fact that I would like these knobs and sticks to be made from some other materials. It's just that the plastic feels cheap and it doesn't seem very flagship. It doesn't look expensive. The whole wheel is heavy, made entirely of metal, and feels reliable. And this plastic thing, well damn, it's just not serious, and it lacks lighting here. In all other aspects, it's a very good wheel. The only thing is, if any guys from Moza's marketing team are watching, I would love for them to release a similar steering wheel. But for example, with Alcantara, because I really like Alcantara, I would choose a version not with leather, but with this kind of suede instead. If you liked it and found it useful, please like and leave comments about what you think. That's all from me. This was Kuz. You were on the Kus-Kus Racing channel. This was a review of the Moza RSV2 steering wheel.